Now entering the Bitcoin Podcast Network.
Welcome to Buy or Sell What the Hell with Jason Jenkins, Alec Z, and D. JJ began his career at Charles Schwab as a trader in the equity and options markets before moving to the sell side to trade fixed income at V Finance, JDB Financial, and CG Capital. With over a decade of experience in trading U.S. Treasuries and building out institutional analysis, he covered all the primary dealers, large buy-side money managers, and hedge funds. And now he's applying his expertise to the cryptocurrency markets. Do you buy or do you sell?
And welcome back, everyone. Another edition, another episode, April 25th. Coming at you guys here. We've had a pretty good rally in BTC this last week. In 2 weeks, prices was as high as 9,700 on GDEX this morning. We're hanging out at 90.10. Alec and Dimitri, you guys make any moves today?
I sold a little bit of Bitcoin. Just a tiny amount.
Sold a little bit.
Not even like something that you guys probably laugh at. It was like $500 worth, and I sold it into Ether because I'm going to sell that into Funfair. Hashtag not investing advice.
I was buying a little bit of Ethereum and Bitcoin alongside you this morning.
Yeah, we nibbled a little bit here, day trade. We'll see. We talked about, just so our listeners know, we kind of upped our overall long positions and took down a lot of cash. I guess the day we had the big short squeeze, I think it was a Wednesday, April 12th, so about a little over 10 days ago. And it's been a good rally since then. The daily cycle is pretty high, so we raised a decent amount of cash, took some profits on pretty much across the board. So we added the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Monero, Dash. We were pretty heavy on Cardano on the lows and Salt, and took about half of all that off here. Plays out lower. But just for like a near-term bounce, 200-300 points, we nibbled a little bit this morning. But that's definitely a tone shift. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of big players looking for big blocks to buy. They all want to do it outside the exchanges, just seems like a lot of big players the appetite's back. I mean, if you guys are feeling the same. We kind of talked about that a little bit last week.
Yeah, I think everyone's looking to get back in. I think that was kind of the signal, kind of got everyone's attention. People are kind of sitting on the sidelines watching, and then they see a rally like that. They see a little dip, and it's time to get involved.
Time to chase.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to work up a lexicon here, Jason. There's nibbling, there's dipping the toe, there's what'd you say that one time? Dead ass high.
Who knows?
Make a dictionary.
Yeah.
JJ's trading terms.
JJ's retarded trading terms.
Take a nibble, dip the toe. So I guess I nibbled this morning.
All right.
Took a little bit off, but I'm currently trying to build a nice little bag in Funfair.
Okay. We've traded that one around a little bit. I haven't looked at that chart in a while.
They're doing some big things on the tech side, and I think that it could be one of those stories one day. We're like, what is $ fun? Where's that coming from? Just know that if that happens, then I'm a happy man. So
it's still, that symbol's still FUN, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't have a chart versus the dollar. I'm looking around right now versus BTC. It's probably that's had a big move. So it's about 80% down from the highs too.
Mm-hmm.
I think
it's
something
a bloodbath.
I think something that could be pretty useful for whoever's listening is that we keep talking about all these different coins we're trading and projects, but we never really talk about how we decide which ones we're getting involved with. I know we got kind of a process in the background here before you start taking positions, right?
Yeah, you mean constructing a portfolio, Alec?
Yeah, pretty much. Just trying to build a solid one.
Yeah, there's lots to kind of take into account. But you do kind of want to get down to a process. I mean, for me, it's more about the risk management. So, how you work your cash within inside your portfolio is pretty key. I mean, when you have big rallies and you have a pretty good run, the more cash you raise and the longer you can kind of sit on that cash when you have a pretty good intermediate term pullback, then that gives you a chance to reload at lower levels. If you get fully invested too early, then you kind of sideline yourself. You're kind of stuck holding and waiting. So there's a balance and there's an art to that. But I think we just try to obviously stay with the bigger caps or the more well-known or more established coins for the most part. You can get crazy trying to find every little project that looks promising. And sometimes, I don't know, some of these traders come in, they have like 30 altcoins, and I don't know how they manage that. I mean, it's tough for me to do like 3 things at once, let alone try to track 30 altcoins. But I kind of try to think in terms of 80-20. So if I'm going to get, 80% of my results, probably going to come from the top 20 coins as far as they're going to have the most liquidity. They're going to be the most traded. So I try to keep 80% of my plays or my portfolios or the coins I like or the projects in the larger names, and then take 20%. Maybe you go for the ones that might have, there are smaller cap names, a little bit more risk, but maybe have the bigger 10x, who knows, in the space 100x type moves.
It was a little Pareto principle. I like it.
Yeah. Well, is that what it's called? I don't know. It's been a while since I was in school.
Old Pareto guy. 80% of your results come from the top 20% of the things. You can use it in lots of things in life. It just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah, and we do that with our size too. We try to teach our guys, you trade with the trend 80% of the time. It's easier to trade with the trend, right? And then you want to put most of your capital 80% of the time with the trend. Your bigger size, you want to trade with the trend. And so I kind of think the same way about the portfolio. I don't know, Alec, you probably have other ideas about how you structure yours.
No, I mean, I think that makes sense. And I think within those top 20 or 30 projects you got going on, I think you can kind of split it up. So we have our, core holdings. We have like a few privacy specific coins we're looking at. Then we have a few that are trying to be a little more innovative, like IOTA, Railblocks. And then you have like the enterprise ones, like Walton, Request. I kind of like thinking about it where you have all these different sectors, because eventually these are going to be more fleshed out, the sectors. Right now, it's kind of all jumbled up. Top 20 has, it's all disproportional right now, but eventually they're going to get shaken out and there's going to be clear winners for each of the sectors. So I think you kind of got to split it up because each sector does have a lot of potential,
Yeah. No, that's a great way to think of it. And, we want to do some more work as far as services around helping people realize, okay, this coin kind of falls in the currency category. Okay, this coin is really, all about the project or a company that's trying to make money. I'd like to kind of take a look at who's in the space that's really actually making money. It'd be nice to kind of put together, look at some projects, and if we could see who's making what, I think would be helpful.
Yeah, some of these platforms that are already starting to pump out some capital.
Yeah, there's a lot of people launching the mainnet in the last 3 months. That looks good on Ether.
Yeah, it does.
But I don't know. I guess me personally, I like to go for. I don't think you guys know me as being an inside of the box thinker. So I I like to look at the whys and then the hows. Like, why are they building that token? What problem are they trying to solve exactly?
Mm-hmm.
Is it worth solving at all? Like, if somebody's like, I'm building a token so people don't have to get off the couch to turn off the lights, I'm like, you're wasting your life. But if somebody like Bitcoin is probably heaviest in my portfolio, other than, sorry, take that back, Ether. But Bitcoin and Ether, because Bitcoin's trying to solve the money problem, which humanity is constantly trying to solve. It's a pretty big problem. We run into it often. Sound currency is a big deal. And then Ether is, a world computer sounds scary because if you've ever seen the Terminator, obviously it's going to be a battle. But there's all this computation that goes unused. If anybody right now hit Control Alt Escape, and you saw you're only using 5% of your processor, and you're doing all of these things, like if you add up all that processing across the globe, what kind of problems could we solve if we were putting that much computation to work?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a huge, huge problem. And then the secondly is the how. Some projects are just trying to solve simple problems, like give you your browser back. And the how they're going about it is also ties into where I put my money.
Mm-hmm.
As far as trading, I listen to you, JJ. But for portfolio stuff, like longer term stuff, I look at the why of a project and the how.
Yeah.
That makes sense because people get caught up in a lot of these top coins are really heavily marketed, and people don't stop to really think about why. They don't stop to really see how many buzzwords they're using in their paper and their website, or they don't really get a feel for the community online. They get caught up in the marketing and the hype. They don't stop to question any of it.
Yeah. And the simplicity of the problem also, like that goes with all kinds of things. Like Google, just three guys are sitting around and they're like, you know what? It's hard to do. Find stuff on the internet. We should make it easier. Boom. And now look at Google.
Yeah.
So if they can articulate the problem that they're trying to solve and how they're solving it, that's how I look at it.
See, that's exactly one of the reasons why I'm a little iffy on EOS. I don't have a very big position in it for kind of that same reason where you just said a simple thing they're trying to fix, or the solution, where EOS's slogan's pretty much, we're changing everything. Everything's not going to be the same as it used to be. I mean, that's literally what Brock Pierce said about it, right? We're changing everything. Yeah. I mean, decentralize everything. All right.
That's why I just can't get one. You can't decentralize everything. Two, I don't know. It's probably easy to trade EOS because it moves around a lot. But yeah, no.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with trading it around. I've been adding and reducing along with you, Jason. Made some decent money on it, but long-term holding, though, is what I'm kind of talking about.
Before we go into the news, I mean, let's just be clear. You can't decentralize everything.
It's like,
go ahead, JD.
Yeah, I don't think it gets into like a philosophical point. Like, if everything cycles, you can't just go one way in one direction. You're never going to have everybody agree on everything. It's a yin yang, positive, negative. There's just no. And so the more you decentralize something, the more eventually it comes back to some sort of centralization. I mean, you just can't, whether you're talking about consensus or voting or who controls the capital. I mean, it's like, we were talking the other day about these over-the-counter trades that's kind of developed, and Dimitri, you said, well, why these guys are, you have a seller of Bitcoin of a big block, and somebody wants to buy, but the blockchain is supposed to be able to create this trustless environment where you don't need somebody in an escrow, but all these trades are taking place because it's like you're trading blockchain, you're trading Bitcoin, but you're still using a custodian and an escrow because you're dealing in dollars, and you can't trust the other party. What are you going to do? Is just going to send 1,000 BTC to somebody you've never even talked to and hope they send you currency or in return? I mean, it starts out like that, but then it ends up kind of getting centralized back in some fashion. I don't think it's all or none. The answer is kind of always in the middle.
I think we should have a whole show on that, because I think people are a little too quick to throw away the old and just replace it with something experimental and new. And where there are some services that just make sense in the traditional.
Yeah. It's just not all or none.
We should kind of dive into that a little bit. When is centralized okay? When is decentralized better? It'd be good to kind of outline some of that.
Yeah. I mean, the community is pretty libertarian about central banking. And the problem that's happened is the central banks, just the whole design of how they started, we've got totally moved away from. And so we used to not have a central bank. Well, guess what developed? We had banking crisis because the capital flows. If there was a crisis in energy part of the economy, or vice versa, if there was a banking crisis in the eastern part of, we're just talking about the U.S., the capital flows would change. Like, you'll have some parts of the economy doing well, and then if commodities go down, that part of the economy suffers, but the capital flows will move around. Well, they designed the central bank to help step in to provide that liquidity to the local banks, and originally it was only designed to buy corporate paper. Well, that actually directly puts capital into the system because you're lending to the companies. Well, now classic government takes over and says, hey, we got to fund these wars. Now we're only going to sell government paper, and they never change the system back. So now when the economy and these local banks really need the capital, the Fed doesn't, you got to buy treasury bonds. Well, that just gives money to the central government. So it tends to be the same. You cycle away from it, you come back to, I guess you could even say even revolutions start the same way, right? You completely decentralize where, you don't want any big government. The local communities want to take care of themselves. And then over time, it starts to become more and more and more central and federalized. And, then you have the government gets so corrupt and so out of control and goes bankrupt. You have a tax revolt, and then you start the whole revolutionary cycle over again.
We're getting deep on today's show. We should do more morning recordings. Get some nice warm coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about some stuff that was in the news. So yesterday, this guy named John Pfeiffer, of some relation to Michelle Pfeiffer, he went on CNBC's Fast Money, and he said that Bitcoin's going to be no less than $90K and potentially as high as $700,000 per. High hopes for this guy. And he said his low bar is because it becomes equal to the private gold bullion holdings, 1.5 trillion, compared to 150 billion. I mean, he's got a strong point.
Yeah, that's the stuff we hit on our episode, right?
Yeah, like last week we hit on that. And I just kind of wanted to reharp and ask you guys after I read this guy's quote. It's pretty good. Gold, frankly, is rather silly. Strong. We're a spacefaring digital society, and we're still using a yellow metal as our non-sovereign store of value. At some point, we're going to come up with a better technology to do that, and Bitcoin is the first candidate.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I guess I got JJ's vote. Alec, what do you think? Gold versus Bitcoin. Who wins in the octagon?
I mean, I think we're kind of past trying to say why Bitcoin is as good as gold. I mean, it's clearly better. I mean, it's Bitcoin. You could trade it with anyone in the world nearly instantly with the same security as handing someone gold that's directly in front of you. No middleman. I mean, it's probably even more secure because gold, you have to get tested by a third party.
That's true.
I don't understand. If you don't understand Bitcoin, then yeah, I can see you trying to make an argument. But
this is probably the wrong show to ask people if they think gold versus Bitcoin.
oh, I think so. I think it's been hit so many times, and I think it's kind of obvious.
I think the one hometown rink that it's not going to do so well in, or the octagon that really would would really mess Bitcoin up a lot, is if the infrastructure goes out. I mean, you kind of need electricity, you need the internet, otherwise you don't have, like Bitcoin just goes poof.
Mm-hmm. No, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
That's the ultimate scenario.
And
Mad Max scenario, everything collapses. Korea shoots off what's the name of it? Electromagnetic pulse
yeah.
weapon. The whole grid goes down. You're standing there with your ledger. With like, what am I gonna do with a ledger?
I mean,
throw it at someone.
I don't think anyone's really saying that Bitcoin is going to replace gold. I think it's just saying that it could have the same sort of use case, alongside it.
Yeah.
A digital gold that's better, but it doesn't mean that the old gold will go away.
Yeah. Again, if it's not, I don't think it's all or none. I mean,
no.
You get in really, those war cycles picks up, you have a really bad natural disaster, anything like that. I mean, that big time crisis like that, people are going to recognize gold,
Yeah, but you won't.
You can make the case about guns and food, same thing. Am I going to barter with guns and ammo? A little bit easier than,
Yeah, but you won't see headlines saying, "Oh, well, it's not all or one." I mean, it's not all or one. There's Bitcoin and gold they're not even competition. All right, nothing new. Like, it's going to be, well, Bitcoin's going to replace gold, or is gold even, worth anything anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to be quoted by saying that, it's not all or one.
Yeah.
Right.
You won't get quoted for that.
I mean, when we're going to the stars, you're probably going to be bringing your Bitcoin with you instead of a big suitcase of gold bullion. But just saying, you might want to bring one gold bullion bar.
We'll see. If you would have just cut off right there, that would have been a good headline. But see, now you said, well, also gold.
What if NASA gets their dream and they're mining asteroids and they find a big, pretty gold asteroid? What happens to the value of your gold back home when they bring those hundreds of thousands of tons back?
It's a lot of supply.
Yeah, because they're scientists and they could do that. So, no, I'm kidding. I don't know what they do at NASA, but I do know that's one of their plans. I'm excited about that plan. I'm just saying, like,
I think any space thing's exciting. Anyway.
Yeah, that's true. It's coming back around. Thank you, Elon Musk.
They could be doing anything in space, and I'm excited about it.
We're making it cool again. He's making space cool again. It took Elon Musk in a pseudo-warm war with Russia again. So that's what Russia's good for. They get excited about leaving the planet. It's like, God, you guys suck so much. We just don't want to be here. We don't even want to be here anymore. I'm kidding. I know lots of Russians. I know two of them. Sorry, I know two Russians. They're good.
You guys watch Vice News? You guys ever see that on HBO?
The one on HBO? Vitalik? Yeah. You talking about Vitalik?
Yeah. I just watched that last week. It was good. They were the whole thing about Russia and them trying to take spot for the blockchain capital.
I don't see why they wouldn't try. It's one. I think Vitalik is. I'm impressed with Vitalik's growth in this industry. Like, he's really coming along, and he handled that interview very well.
Oh.
So, I know he's on our list because anytime you're signing deals with Russian banks, you pretty much get put on a list instantaneously. So, but it was a good interview. If you guys haven't checked it out, go on HBO Vice News. Use your HBO Go account from your second cousin and hop on there and look at Vitalik.
Well, you should have one already because Westworld is on HBO.
Careful now. We're going off the rails. Talk about favorite shows and stuff. Yeah, Westworld's back, by the way. Okay, so more news. There was a Mew hacking, right? So we should probably talk security a little bit. And it was a simple DNS man-in-the-middle reroute kind of attack. You thought you were going to my Ether wallet, and instead you ended up going to some pirate's cave with a my Ether wallet poster on the front, and he stole your stuff. That's pretty much it. I mean, there's really no way. Honestly, everyone that was stolen from, I don't know if there was a way to see it coming.
It was only 100. How much was it? 150,000. I don't know. I'm always amazed how they backtrack and figure out these numbers.
I mean, I think you were fine if you used a cold storage, though. I mean, that's kind of a lesson.
Cold storage or hardware?
Hardware. Sorry.
Yeah, if you use a hardware wallet, you're probably good to go.
Mm-hmm.
But if you didn't use a hardware wallet and you, I don't know, use one of the 6 different ways that they allow you to log in that isn't a hardware wallet, you maybe got caught. So,
yeah.
That's just, one of the things of the space that sucks is that we're such on the bleeding edge is that we have to fend off the pirates for everyone else. Like, no one, anybody who's chilling, just watching 401k grow, paying on that Social Security, going to Bank of America twice a month to, they don't have to worry about this stuff because the infrastructure is there for them to, just be a GPP. General purpose person. But for this stuff, I know you guys use YubiKeys. I've got 2-factor authentication on my 2-factor authentication. So, no, I'm kidding. That would be funny though. I have 2 cell phones. So we're braving these waters and learning all these lessons for everyone. See, that's another lesson for you guys listening. If you don't have a hardware wallet, you probably have enough money to have a hardware wallet if you're into crypto. Just saying. I mean, the price just went up, 10% in the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, more than that. But, yeah, you're right. That's the thing, too, is that's kind of a role we're trying to do. Probably need to do a better job of it, is educating people on how to get started. And, my Ether wallet is way more complicated than it needs to be. Just trying to figure out what the hell to do when you first get on there. It's like, I know there's a lot of smart people working on stuff, but it needs to be way more simple.
Yeah. I think a lot of it right now, if you want to be involved, it just takes common sense to really take your time and educate yourself. Because, for instance, for the Mew hack, they changed it, but also when people accessed that changed the DNS attack, there was a big red warning on your browser that said security certificate is not valid. And people didn't pay attention or ignored it, and they still accessed their accounts on it. So that does mean that it does take some common sense to pay attention to the URL, just pretty much go through a checklist every time you're going to access it.
Yeah.
Yep. Standard security stuff. If you're sending a transaction, look at the first 4 and the last 4 of the address and make sure you're sending it to the right address. There's lots of tips we could be tossing out.
Use a hardware wallet.
Use a hardware wallet. If you're bored, all right, and this is for the extremers out there. There's a lot of you extremers. You finished your honey-do list last week. Wife went out of town. She didn't build a new one yet. You got a Saturday to yourself. Build a cold wallet. It's not a straightforward process, but there's many guides on both YouTube and on Reddit on how to build a cold wallet. And if there's money, crypto, you're never going to touch for a long time, maybe until the kids go to college, throw it in that cold wallet. No one will ever be able to touch it ever. So it's a nice little side project for you guys listening.
Yeah, that's good.
But while we are talking about security, for those of you listening in DC, which we know it's a sizable amount, this Saturday, the 28th, from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., a good long time, there's a cybersecurity workshop for you guys, put on by the DC Crypto Club. Just listen to this agenda. So the first 15 minutes is networking, of course, but then there's a presentation on how to secure yourself in a world where cryptocurrency exists. Then there's going to be several breakout sessions and a panel from 1:30 to 2:15 by Andrew Morris, John Carthern, and and our own Dr. Corey Petty will be on that panel as well. And they're just going to be giving you guys some nuggets of wisdom on how to secure yourself in this crypto world. So,
and I think that kind of brings up a point where we were talking about earlier, back to the security thing, where with this hack is that, the average person can't be expected to know that kind of thing, which they should if they're in the space. But that kind of just shows how long we are away from adoption and the infrastructure that we need. And it kind of shows why banks are kind of useful. That money wasn't insured by anyone.
Yep.
Everyone lost.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, do we have any more news we want to go into? There's one more point that we could discuss.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. This is going to make us look bad because we're Americans. And it's going to make us look bad because our adoption game is so low compared to our Asian brethren in South Korea. So just I don't know if you guys know, this audience listening, but if you look at pictures of people walking downtown in Tokyo or in Seoul, Korea, you see crypto tickers on the digital billboards. You see Bitcoin, you see Ether, you'll see Ethereum Classic, you'll see BAT, you'll see Tron. You'll see all of these coins up there, and they'll be red or they'll be green, and people are just walking past this. It's just part of their day. They have digital wallets. They have places where you go in and there's kiosks full of women that are like, hey, you want to buy some crypto? We're going to help you out. Come on in here. We're going to get you all set up with a wallet, blah, blah, blah. There's even one app that's there's one bank trying to just tie it. It's basically trying to be Coinbase. Here's your bank, and then here's your crypto accounts right next to it. Mm-hmm. And so the reason I'm discussing all this is because recently one of their largest telecom providers said that they're going to announce some blockchain service for asset management. So imagine you're looking in your AT&T, all right, I got a bill coming up. I'm going to pay that broadband internet fee. And then below that, your crypto accounts are going to be in there. So they're going to allow you to manage your crypto accounts through your telecom service provider. So I don't know if you guys know this. We were talking about it briefly before the show, so I know you guys know it, but the audience is that if the telecom providers, if the telecom industry is not on board with this crypto thing, meaning they're not incentivized to participate, then they're just not going to let it happen because they control the internet. So, how, I guess it sparks conversation is we don't have a lot of telecom industries here like they do in Korea, right, Alec?
No, South Korea has the fastest average internet connection speed, and that is due to competition.
Yeah, there's a lot of telecom providers over there. And so I think a case like this is just evidence to that. They're trying to get an edge on their competition. You know what? We're providing blockchain solutions for people. What now? But here in the States, there's 4 telecom. There's Time Warner. Do they even count? AT&T, Verizon. There's not a bunch.
Yeah. That's kind of just what happens. And a few of these larger people, it's a monopoly, clearly. And there's no incentive for them to improve speeds. There's no incentive for them to improve anything. Where, I think the South Korean government, I remember reading about this before, is that they had a whole plan about how they were going to connect everyone on to the internet. The government themselves pushed internet connections. Everyone should have a personal computer connection to the internet. And they put laws and regulations in place to make sure that it was a fair and open marketplace for competition. So these people see how popular now these telecom services see how popular blockchain and crypto is, and it's such a close competition that they see that as an edge now.
It's smart of them. I mean, that's what I would be doing.
I wish our businesses would think like that, like just a little more progressive and not so much. I feel like we're so risk averse and we're not willing to think about the reward at all when it comes to stuff like this in America.
I think some of these places just do so well that there's no reason to risk anything.
That's a solid point.
Yeah.
So to kind of help this make sense for you guys listening is that like this whole net neutrality thing that went down last year is like basically you've got Verizon saying, hey, Netflix, we basically built the infrastructure for you to profit off of. What the hell, man? And so we're going to start controlling that infrastructure a little bit. And if there's millions of people watching Orange is the New Black, but like 5 people go into statusapp.com, well, we're going to try and drive that traffic to Orange is the New Black and maybe decide how we get paid. And so that's part of the problem there. And why this ties into crypto. Go ahead, Alec.
No, I was going to say also them trying to, censor something like that or have them pay, even though the American people subsidized for that infrastructure to be built that these private companies are profiting from. And I think it's an important point to make that all this was subsidized. The infrastructure for the internet was subsidized by the American people.
Mm-hmm. We have power in our pockets, ladies and gents. But then talking about money. But then you take that a step further into crypto, right? Do we really feel like the huge telecommunication providers are going to allow for these edge case decentralized applications to be sending and receiving millions upon millions of messages on the edge of the infrastructure? Like, no, they're going to be like, kick rocks, man. What incentive do we have to build out infrastructure for that? We're not going to go build all these wireless towers for you scrubs. You better pay us. Like, there's got to be some sort of structure aligned with those guys, or it's just not physically, like physics, going to be possible to support all these decentralized applications.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. I just thought it was very interesting to speak to, and hats off to South Korea for leading the adoption game for the past, 18 months now.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm going to plug one site at the end here. If you do care about what we just said, go to battleforthenet.com if you want to take action.
Yeah. Oh, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, pretty much you go sign up for, because the FCC is going to be voting again, I think. It's not final yet, so net neutrality is not officially dead. The FCC repeal has not gone into full effect, so it's going to be voted on again.
Yeah, we need
the SEC is trying to play internet cop now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Securities and Exchange Commission has the regulatory authority to turn the internet on and off. Well, it makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
No, not the SEC.
No, FCC. Sorry,
okay.
FCC.
FCC.
That would be funny though. It would be even more gleaning. I think the most gleaning thing that event that let us know our government has no clue what world we're living in was that Mark Zuckerberg. They were like, so what is logging in? What is actually happening when I push the button? He's like, are you fucking serious, Senator? Like,
how do you fit all your workers inside these small TVs, these small computer screens? The screens keep getting smaller and smaller. How do you get your people to fit in between? I mean, my new laptop doesn't even have a USB port, so I can't even stare inside my computer and see who's in there.
I mean, the internet's only a series of tubes, right?
One senator got real specific. What happened to my wall? There used to be a wall. I put messages on it, and it just went away. I want to. All right, we should probably start wrapping this up. So,
all right, good show, guys.
Well, I want to plug us a little bit.
Okay.
Get a little Shillington. So if you guys like the conversation we're having here, but you want a really more focused trading conversation, especially trading cryptos, then you should join our crypto team. It's $99 a month, but you're surrounded with 147 other traders that are basically posting charts all day, talking strategies all day. You're going to get introduced to tokens you weren't thinking about. JJ pops in daily with real-time alerts that say things like, now would probably be a good time to dip the toe. Or, I'm kidding. But you're going to get real-time alerts. And you also get to discuss the trading model that JJ himself built up. Also, if you're unsure on the $99 a month, but you want to get a feel for what it's like to be surrounded by traders all day, there is a free trading channel as well, Trading Talk. It's got 1,018 members in it strong right now, and it's not just crypto, but trading pretty much anything that's tradable, except for Beanie Babies. I don't think they go there. What else?
No, it's good. Yeah, currently we have that invite to that room. It's at jenkinsrm.com. That was my older company I built. So we do a lot of our educational stuff there. It's www.jenkinsrm.com. You'll see the chat room that D is talking about on the top right.
Yep. Got the links in the show notes. And that's it, guys. We're wrapping it up.
All right.
Great show. We'll talk to you.
now.